Welcome to CMOs Offscript. We're experts in healthcare marketing, and each week we tackle one topic with unfiltered advice you won't hear anywhere else. Let's jump in. Welcome back to CMOs Offscript.
How are you guys? Good to be back.
It's great to be back.
It is.
It's been a minute, to quote Bethany.
It has been a minute, indeed. Cheers. Cheers to Bethany. Cheers to Julia.
All right, it's 2025 and we're ready to get started with CMOs Offscript, and delighted to be here. This is Laura.
Amanda.
Nisha.
Julia and Bethany are not joining us for this season. They have a lot going on, and we're hoping to catch up with them later on to hear about where they're at and what they're doing. We're excited for them and we're grateful to them. So we're going to start this season on our own. We've got some pretty cool ideas and some topics we want to dig into. 2025 is nothing if not a roller coaster. How are you guys holding up?
Woo! It's been a journey. It's been a journey.
It has been a journey.
I'm here. As we in the Midwest like to say, I'm here.
Here in the East Coast, we love to say, I love that for you.
You know, I think in general, I can't believe that it's April already. I feel like that's the hard part that I'm having is just how fast things.
Actually, it's past mid-April. It's April
That's right.
19th.
Oh my God.
So really April.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
So as we jump into this season, we wanted to give everyone a quick sort of snapshot of what we're looking ahead to. So we've got several topics that we're excited to dig in on. And one of the things we're going to change this season is we're going to bring in some of our friends in the industry in to talk with us. So stay tuned for some guest interviews and conversations. And some of what we're going to be looking at is bringing in people who are in adjacent roles to CMOs and getting their perspective on marketing, on CMOs, on the industry, and what's important to them and what they see driving marketing in healthcare right now. So we'll have some kind of exciting updates. Anybody?
I'm really looking forward to it. We've been having some back channel conversations about this, and some of our proposed guests should be a lot of fun. I'm excited.
Yeah. And I think the intention behind it is, you know, if you've heard us talk about our perspective on marketing, it's really just, it's not about just brand or just pushing out campaigns. It's not, and it really deserves a seat at, you know, the broader table, and bringing in these outside perspectives, I think is going to really help bolster that. And so that was our intention. Our hope is that we start to give you all some perspective around how other folks within the marketing tier and outside of it view it as well, and give you some different perspectives. So give us some feedback on whether it's working.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I think what's great is we know that our role requires a lot of collaboration across the C-suite, and you know, being able to get that point of view from some of those other stakeholders is really valuable. And we're constantly talking about aligning with our peers. And so I think this is a chance to dive into that in a little more detail. So excited to do that.
Yeah.
Agree completely. And then on topics, we've had a variety of topics that we think are important. We want to be timely. 2025, as previously mentioned, is a ride. So we're going to reflect that ride and talk about what's really going on. We're interested to see some of the data coming out in the near term about how Q1 really went. We're interested to hear what's happening in sales and what impact some of what we're seeing out in the greater world is having on healthcare technology sales. What's the impact? What are we seeing? So we're going to be talking about some of those things as that information and that data becomes available. But today we wanted to jump in and talk about one of the burning topics, which is account-based marketing. I think everybody is looking for the magic wand and the silver bullet of marketing right now. Like, what is going to work? What's going to really drive those conversions? What's the best ROI? where can we take our limited resources and really target them to engage with our prospects and turn them into customers? What's the best tool? And ABM right now is often discussed as that being the tool. And so we wanted to dig in a little bit on some of the questions about ABM and how we think about it when we're working with our company's clients and people out in the world. Like, what does that look like? So any additional comments on that?
No, I think, I'll set it up in just saying that oftentimes when the question, or, when we start down this journey, it's really about asking the why. Why do you feel like ABM is the right approach for your organization for the time that you're in, right? What is the problem that you're trying to solve here? Because essentially, sometimes it might not be the right go-to-market motion for where you are as a business in, depending on maturity or where you are in really just the scale of your organization in itself. And I know, Amanda, you're in the thick of it right now with some of, with some of the implementation and ongoing kind of learnings that you've been having. And so I'm excited to learn more about where you are as well. But I think that's usually where I start is this even the right approach?
And because what are you trying to solve will make all the difference, right? I mean, one of the things that had come up when we talked about this previously was this idea of, if you're not trying to solve the right sets of things, if you just need revenue like tomorrow, this isn't it. Like, this isn't the thing that's going to be the quick fix. And I think a lot of folks are looking for that quick fix and the answer to, what is the easy button to solve all of your problems. And, first of all, I hate to break it. I don't think that there are any magic, easy buttons. I do have my favorite hype button here. But I will tell you, there's no easy button. There are things that require work and effort, and, figuring out what is the right set of resources and tools that you need in a specific moment is important. And also where are you at in that journey? And what's the time horizon that you're looking for makes a huge difference in terms of where you prioritize your time, effort, resources.
I do think the theory is the thing that I think that I enjoy the most about account-based, right? Is the mindset shift of you have to be able to engage everybody within that buying committee. And you can only do that when you are thinking about it at the account level, when you're not looking at people from an individual, this is a particular lead versus this is now a marketing qualified account, because all of the contacts within there have engaged in a meaningful way, and the account is now engaged. And I think that theory is beautiful. And I will, sing it from the rooftops that yes, we all have to start to think that way. We all have to start to shift to think about them as accounts and not necessarily as just individual leads in this particular industry, especially in healthcare tech, because the buying cycles are so complex and so long. But I do think, to your point, Amanda, of if you're not 3X in pipeline, for example, and your challenge is, I need to get to 3X in pipeline and I need to do it in the next 6 months. The solve isn't to switch your entire organization to account-based marketing, right? That's not the solve. And you shouldn't be looking at it from that perspective. Account-based, the mindset shift is more of a long-term approach than a short term.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think also really understanding that it's a longer sales cycle. It's a thoughtful sales cycle. It's understanding your client need and the specific needs around each client and being very targeted around that. So I think in terms of mindset shift, I think that's part of it too, is really just, getting in the seat of your client and saying, what is it they're really struggling with? What is this organization's unique struggles based on their tech stack and their their current situation, pressures, et cetera. And then how do we solve that problem? I love that. So I agree with you, Nisha. There's a lot about it that's really appealing because it's a solution-based marketing that is fantastic. It's like the kind of marketing I like to do, but it is not quick and dirty. It's long and thoughtful.
Yeah. And I will say, like, as we've looked at building out our approach, we are looking at those key market problems, those key pain points that we're seeing. But if you look at the journey is, right, trying to get people in the funnel and accelerate them through the pipeline. For sure, that is part of the goal. Is if I understand what you really care about, maybe I can like tap into something and accelerate your speed through the pipeline. But it's also not the only thing that we're doing. Like that is one of the things that I'm doing, but I'm still layering in like these other moments of marketing where we're still doing like, we're doing the, these targeted efforts tied to a specific market problem. And I'm layering in, hey, we've got a webinar. Hey, we've got, these other things that we're looking at and we're doing, join us at this conference. So we're trying to think about it in a holistic way. Because hopefully you're going to tap into that key market problem, but also I have to get to the thing that you care about. And I can't just like, shake something up and like hope that whatever I throw out sticks. I've got to be pretty targeted and I've got to be very strategic about how I'm going about that to try and understand what is the thing that you care about. And in the meantime, I'm going to be sprinkling in these other things that I think you might be interested in. It's a lot. That's a lot.
Oh my God. So much to say, because there's two things that I want to like pull on here. One of them is, yes, you're absolutely right that oftentimes it ends up being like a double funnel or a triple funnel sort of progression that you're looking at. So you're not only looking at like, how do I progress these accounts, but then it's also, you're doing sometimes like just your typical demand gen type of campaigns, right?
Yep.
Because you're still trying to figure out some sort of traction. Super important because I think that most of the time people are like, oh, we've got to go all in or nothing, right? It's like, it doesn't have to be, but again, it takes resources and time, right?
Yes,
like
it does.
To be able to divvy it out. But when you're thinking about ABM, like the thing that I wonder if people recognize is that when you're even trying to consider it for your organization, you can still run a really small piloted approach where you piloted it out and you pick your target accounts, you pick a small group of people to be able to facilitate it and see whether you're gaining traction or not. But oftentimes I think with those pilots, people pull out too early because they're not seeing the results. And there's, I see that a lot where people will be like, oh, it just didn't work. And I'm curious, like Laura, because I know that, with implementing for a couple of clients, like, does that ever happen where people are just like, this isn't working?
Oh yeah. No, we had a large organization who took a ton of time thoughtfully crafting an ABM strategy. And then the higher up in the organization canceled the program about 6 weeks in, which is way early. Yeah. Breathtaking. Like so much time, so much thought went into really carefully crafting a very thoughtful, very targeted strategy. And it was really early days. And it was just like, and I think that canceling it was due to some other pressures that they were going through. But I will say, I agree with you that I think there's a commitment to a strategy. And this is a bigger statement. I think sometimes we have to just choose a path and really pursue it. And I do think sometimes people get nervous and pull back or switch gears or think that there's a faster answer. And I think sometimes we have to commit to a strategy and really let it go for a period of time and gather that data and make those improvements. Excuse my straw knocking around in my glass today. That's the background noise. So what we've found is where we are most successful with this program is clients who are really ready to engage on this over a long period of time and iterate. I love iterating. I love looking at the data and really understanding how the marketing tools are being absorbed, how our different tactics are being absorbed, and tweaking and refining and turning up the oxygen on the things that are really working and going well, and dialing it back and where it's not. It's a process. It's a really, really fun process. And I also want to say where I think true ABM is a pretty heavy lift. There are ways to do, we call it ABM light, but it's, dialing it back, focusing it, to your point, Nisha, doing it as a pilot. Like there's ways to make ABM something that you can try for your organization. But again, to Amanda's point, you don't put all your eggs in that basket.
Yeah.
It's like, it should be part of the strategy. And I think if you're going to do it, you kind of have to commit to it.
I mean, 100%. It could take more than 6 weeks just for just to set up and designing the mechanics. You barely had enough time to look at the data at 6 weeks, right? So that to me is shocking, but I also, I'm just going to pause and say, I appreciate that, like, there are things that happen in an organization that, like, we don't all have visibility to. And I certainly don't have visibility to whichever one of these you experienced. But I will say, like, you got to have, that's part of the strategic alignment with your leadership team around what your timeline is for something like this, because it does take time, and you have to ensure that there's room for data gathering, for learning, for refinement of the process, because at the end of the day, like, it's test and learn. And in all the work that we do, it's using this as a way to improve the pipeline acceleration, right? Like to get people into the funnel, to get them accelerated through it, all of that. And so if you don't have the time and effort to really gather the data, look at the data, assess the data, and refine your process, like, how in the world could you possibly be successful? And so for me, that's something that I'm having a lot of conversations. I'm like, I need to see this data. Like, what is really working here? Where are we falling short? Where are there opportunities for us to continue to refine the process and really tailor to make sure that it's meeting our needs most effectively?
When you talk about looking at the data, Amanda, what tools are you using? Where are you seeing the data? Like, what are you looking at? LinkedIn data? Are you looking at email marketing data? Are you looking at data from a third-party tool? Like, what is most helpful for you in evaluating?
So, yes, all of the above. So, and we're in the process of we just went through a process of using some additional third-party tooling to pull in a lot of the data. So we've got, we're a HubSpot house, but we're using LinkedIn, but I'm also trying to filter this information in to create dashboarding. So, we're also, like many, we're a Salesforce house, but we recently implemented a couple of tools that are specific to data around called Corral Data and Dream Data, to pull some of this data in to be able to see account level attribution, individual lead level attribution, and start to see where are we actually reaching people in the process, and when are we actually seeing that kind of conversion from awareness, consideration, decision, purchase. So we're trying to look at things through a variety of different lenses. We've got, we're using tools like 6 Sense to help us see where folks are at in the funnel, and then try and tailor content and communication to them based on that. So, there's it's a compendium of tools that we're using, and I know that, given the size of our organization, we have resources that, I wouldn't have had in some of my past roles. Just I didn't have the team to even support it, and B, I didn't have the budget to support it. And so I feel incredibly fortunate to be in the situation that I'm at now, where we can look at some of these things, and we've got people and resources to help support looking at some of the data the way that we are. But yeah.
If you had to name of your tech stack, what do you think is making the biggest difference? What's moving the needle for your sales team based on the tech stack?
Do I have to choose just one? And I also
No, you don't.
oh man. I think it's still early days, but I really am excited about the power that we've got with 6ends to help us identify like high fit, like strong profile fit accounts. I mean, and really focus our efforts on those. Those are the places where I'm trying to get my team focused so that we can continue to drive. We're seeing much higher rates of conversion with moderate and strong profile fits. And so if we can really tailor our push to particularly the strong profile fits, the data that I'm seeing tells a really strong and compelling story. And it makes me want to continue to really lean in on those accounts that really do fit that profile. And so we can find the look-like accounts. We can, it's helping me to find folks as well. And so to me, that's the really interesting one. But again, like the story hasn't fully proven out yet. And so I'm a little reluctant to be like, it's this one. It's the direction that I'm leaning towards because I think it's the one that has really strong potential, and I'm trying to work with my team, my marketing operations team, to make sure that like, is this it? Do we have it? Have we locked in on it? And we're getting there. I'm getting close.
That's really cool.
I'm glad that you brought up marketing ops. I think that out of all the roles that we've talked about, and especially if you're implementing ABM, I think that particular role has had a resurgence where they're like rising from the ashes, sort of phoenix-like, because what used to be just Salesforce administration kind of background noise. Right. I mean, I think at this point, if you don't have a strong marketing ops team or rev ops team, whatever your company's calling them,
or both,
both, because actually, let's also advocate that there probably should be a rev ops team and a marketing ops team, because those are they're sometimes very different and very different, focused on different things. And so to wrap it all up, I think what we're trying to say is that this is definitely a timeline and a space where account-based marketing has been coming up a lot. We've been having a lot of conversations around it. There are programs that we're running currently, so much learnings, I think, that are happening, tools that are being added to the tech stack on an ongoing basis where we're, especially with AI, there's so many interesting interest level data that's being pulled in. And so this deserves, I think, a broader conversation where we're hoping that we can tease out certain things and probably talk through, just tech stack maybe, or just roles maybe in different conversations. And so what do you guys think about that? That we'll kind of, further and discuss this down the line.
Love it.
Yeah, I love it. I'd love to dig in more on the tech stack, and I'd also like to talk about the different roles supporting marketing teams in successful organizations. I think it's a really good topic. Yeah, let's go. I'm excited for the season, you guys. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Love chatting with you all, as always. It's a treat.
I will say it. So we have these conversations on Fridays, and it is the best way to end the week, begin the weekend. It's just, I can't wait for everybody to jump on it. So appreciate you, ladies.
Appreciate you too.
I know. Appreciate
such a treat as always.
Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we'll talk soon. Thanks for going off script with us. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to follow, rate, and share CMOs Offscript. We'll be back soon with more raw insights and real conversations with the voices shaping modern marketing. Until next time, stay bold.